What's going on? Today I'm giving you my top 25 favorite coaster elements out of the 124 coasters I've done around North America so far. This is an extremely tough list to make, one of the hardest I've ever had to make since early 2018. I'll probably change my opinions just a little bit, but they'll stay fairly similar. And you'll notice that some of the coasters on here will have elements in back-to-back spots. That sounds like just an inaccurate way of doing things, but coasters have elements that feel a similar way, so they're more likely to get grouped together, along with certain types of elements and certain manufacturers. So with that out of the way, I want to give you a few coasters I had in but had to take out. Here are some honorable mentions. So we've got the brake runs on Racer at Kings Island and Goliath at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Look, they're such awful rides. These brake runs are so satisfying to sit on. Except for on Racer, I guess, because of the strains killing you. But anyways, let's get on to the real honorable mentions. So Steel Vengeance's Outer Bank makes it as an honorable mention on this list. It gives very sustained flagector airtime, and it does kill your thighs a little bit, which is a good thing. Not to mention the fact that you're going sideways during all of this. It's an overrated element, I guess, but it still slaps so hard. And the other honorable mention goes to the dive loop on Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster. This is the very first element on the ride after the drop, and it's a fun inversion. The airtime you get on it is crazy intense, and I could not stop myself from screaming in awe of this. So now let's get on to the top 25. At number 25, we have the Speed Hills on Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldameer. This goes over the PA Route 832, and it's just a really cool sensation to fly right over cars. When you're a littler kid, you love standing on bridges, watching traffic pass beneath you. But now it's up to another level. You can ride a roller coaster over a road. That's pretty epic if you ask me. And it's in a tunnel. It's a bright blue tunnel. It's not anything dark, but it is a tunnel. And that adds a near miss element. The airtime hills themselves are really good too. It's ejector airtime. It's pretty strong. This is where the restraints like to tighten the most, minus the drop, and, well, they probably do more than the drop, and that's a good thing in this case, because that means you're getting some sweet airtime. At the 24th spot, we have Fahrenheit's airtime hill. That sharp ejector airtime hill, which is the last element before it turns around and slides into the brakes. This has some wicked inversions and one of my favorite of all time, quite frankly. But this tops even those for me. I've said this plenty of times already, but I'll say it again. This gave me a taste of Skyrush. It's not too far behind Skyrush's Camelbacks, really. Don't sleep on this element. Number 23 on this list is Wonder Woman's drop off the turnaround. I mean, it's not a top 10 element like I expected it to be, but it's top 25, which is still a fantastic spot. This ride looks and feels like it's being sped up by a video. It feels like you're fast forwarding. It's pretty wild. Again, in the back is where it's at on this element. Just imagine jumping off of a skyscraper and into a strong wind current or something, taking you into the opposite direction, and then it lets off and you land into the ground, which is actually a black hole. That's what it feels like. It's honestly pretty similar to the first drop in the back, but it has just a little bit stronger ejector. These next three elements are going to be on Maverick. It has some great moments, and the first one at number 22 are its single dives. The first one is better in my opinion, but both of them are great. You get some amazing sideways airtime at a very rapid pace. I am a Stangle Dive fanboy. The laterals make you wonder how the stress on the trains and the track isn't too intense. It feels like it really should derail. I don't know how it doesn't. I mean, you're going through these in the upper 60s in miles per hour. After the second launch, it gets up to 70, but it loses a tad bit of speed on the turn brake. However, it picks up speed again, and it's like the top speed of Gatekeeper going through these. Maverick Stangle Dives are very underrated, and if they're better than some of the elements that I had on this list, like honorable mention, the Outer Bank turn on Steel Vengeance, you know they gotta be good. And at number 21 are the two ejector airtime hills on it. The one after the rapid fire turns, and the one after the Stangle Dives before the brake run. The first one gives you a more gut-punching sensation, but the second one is stronger. I like the second one more, but barely. I mean, these are basically Fahrenheits. There's something about them I like more, though. I guess they are stronger by a little, but not really. I don't know. but it's probably because you see Steel Vengeance on both of the hills. That's a great sight to see, one of the best. The last one for Maverick in this stretch, at number 20, is the drop. This is considered an elite drop and one of the best in America, and spoiler alert, it's not even the best part on the ride, which means that it's good. It's a great element. I enjoy some of the other ones barely more, but man, this thing pulls you so hard to the ground. It's not that tall of a drop, only a 100-foot drop, but it's 95 degrees and it's just so epic. You definitely get that gut punch along with some good airtime after that first launch. Number 19, which will surprise 95% of people out there, is the drop on Wild Eagle. Of course, it's better in the back, and the best restraints on this really don't bother you until you're on the brakes. So this drop is pretty awesome, especially when you stare at the Smoky Mountains and you see yourself falling. It makes you feel like an eagle that's soaring through the mountains. Better than Valraven's drop. This thing is pretty great. Number 18 is a tie between Orion's first drop and Diamondback's first drop. This was a tough decision, to be honest, to put them above Wild Eagle. They don't have the scenery to look at while falling down back to earth, which I love, but they're bigger and better drops. They do have clamshell restraints, which are one of my favorites, and they're a tie because Orion's drop lasts longer, but Diamondback's restraints were less restrictive, so I was able to get some more airtime in that regard. They're pretty even though, and Kings Island has some pretty awesome B&Ms. I just couldn't decide between these two, but they're both great drops. Number 17 is where the drop on Ravine Flyer 2 comes in. This is some sustained flagector airtime right here. It can actually be ejector airtime on the drop. It's a taller version of Switchback's drop, which I had to mention, I love so much. You get a nice view of Lake Erie too. You dive into the tunnel right after you turn to the right on the drop, and the PTC trains allow for some pretty good airtime on this first drop. This element is way better than it looks, trust me on that one. And this is the best part of Ravine Flyer 2, as you'll find with a lot of the coasters on this list. Number 16 is Hydra's first drop. Okay, let me just make this simple. The rocks on the ground make you look like you're about to slam into them more than anything else. POVs do you no justice for this drop. It's not anything too fast, not anything too steep, and it has over-the-shoulder restraints. Man, that punch in your stomach is unbelievable. That's something that I love in a coaster. That's one of the things I love more than any other. Getting that distinctive feel in your stomach going down that drop is awesome, and expect to feel that on Hydra while having the illusion that you're about to plummet into a bunch of big gray rocks. It's awesome. Just don't sleep on this. I think it's very underrated. And that's a huge part of how it's barely out of my top 10. Number 15 is not the last drop on this stretch of drops. I'm sorry. But this one is a very tricky element for me. This is the drop that's on Skyrush. This element really should be either towards the bottom or in my top 3. And my logic with this is I absolutely love this element to death. To death, a pun, kind of. It is intense. It gives this ride an identity, and it's just so cool to experience. Now, with that being said, I hate this drop with burning passion. It is the one element out of any other that legitimately scares me. The first half of the drop is fine, but the second half absolutely murders you. The restraints tighten up at the bottom, and you get loads of airtime here. This is a back killer. My goodness, this is something else. Maybe the craziest element I've felt. But as far as favorites go, there are some that do it better, I guess. It's still like an amazingly intense drop, though. I love it. But I don't know. It's such a weird drop. And for the second and final tie, it is between Ride of Steel and Millennium Force at number 14. So you might be thinking I'm high on water or something. Well, let me tell you this. Water is good for you. Water is important, so joke's on you. But for real, Ride of Steel has more of that gut punch, and Millie's drop lasts longer. So I had to put them together. I know Carter puts this as like his number 1 or something, like element, I don't know, up there. Which I'll never agree with. Ride of Steel's drop is seriously underrated, and it's so exciting every time I go down the drop. don't bully me. This is just my opinion. These are both absolute world-class drops. Coming in at number 13 is Maverick second launch. It stops you in the dark and then launches you 70 miles an hour and then turns you left into the light. This is easily the most intense part of the whole ride. This is one of the best launches in America. I'm sure of it because of it being in a tunnel going so fast. This is a very underrated element. It needs some more respect. It needs mad respect. At the number 12 spot is Wonder Woman's ejector hill, shown here. This is some of the most intense airtime of all time. I could not stop screaming. This element is absolutely insane. It is insane. It's incredible. The bad part about this is the collarbone pain is for real, but this is still awesome. This element overall is just as good as it looks. It's just violent ejector. It might be better than it looks, depending on who you ask, but yeah, really good. At nombre once is Iron Rattler's first drop. The airtime, holy crap. You get absolutely whipped over this drop in the back, and you twist during it, which adds to the fun. My god, the back on this drop is incredible. And at the bottom is an epic head chopper. It's one of the best RMC drops out there, obviously, and it's just too good. The best part of the ride for sure. Kicking off the top 10 is Yukon Striker's first drop. Holy crap, this is such a rush. Spoiler alert, this is my second favorite drop of all time. It feels like a Giga or a Strata with how long you're falling. And like I said, I'm not one to hugely complain about vest restraints to begin with, and these aren't as tight as the ones on Valraven, for example. Falling towards the ground into a tunnel really gives you that gut punch that I love in a coaster. This might not be the most enthusiast type element, but I like it. Scratch that, I love it. Number 9 is Skyrush's Stangle Dives. These are indeed better than Mavericks. The restraints on this ride, yeah, they're ridiculously tight. You've got to be the biggest idiot on earth not to see that. And with that being said, you feel like you're going to fly out of your seat on these. I mean, the laterals on this are extremely insane. They're beyond extraordinary. They're fantastically epic. Sideways airtime is what I'd call it. What an awesome experience. These moments hurt along with the drop. So at first I didn't like them, but I grew to love them. Number 8 is Skyrush's Camelbacks. They're insane pure ejector. This is some of the most intense pain you can get on your thighs from airtime. They go by so fast because the ride is so fast, and it's just really sharp ejector. It's violent, and don't ride this ride if you don't want bruised legs. I really don't got much else to say about it than that. At number 7, we have Jackrabbit's Double Down. This is ejector airtime. No part of this is floater or flojector. This is violent, and this is epic. Please don't sleep on this, and honestly, Racer's Final Hill is very similar. I didn't include it because I honestly had no idea where to put it, so shout out to that. But man, I loosen the seatbelt all the way on that thing every single time, which is the only thing holding you in. It's dangerous. Don't try it at home, kids. Don't try it at Kennywood, actually. And ride it in the back. It's much better in the back, like most other coasters out there. Number 6 is the hill on Phantom's Revenge, just before the overrated Double Down. You can see how violent this hill is on video, but that's nothing compared to when you actually ride it. Oh my goodness, this used to be my favorite element of all time. This is truly an amazing moment. It's the most violent, quick pop of ejector I've ever experienced. It isn't sustained, it is short, which is why it isn't any higher. But man, this is one of the most underrated moments in any coaster, if I'm being honest. Starting in the top 5 is where we have Diamondback's Camelbacks. The non-trimmed Camelbacks. Mainly the first one, I guess. My goodness, the airtime is extremely scary. These clamshells don't come down on you nearly at all. They're a little more restrictive than buzz bars, but they do feel like they're buzz bars on a B&M Hyper, kind of. On the brake run, I attempted to get out of the seats. Obviously, I wasn't actually going to climb out, but I wanted to see really how much room they give you. And if I really wanted to bad enough, I would be able to climb out, I swear. A mix between buzz bar feeling airtime on a hyper and those butterflies in your stomach, these camelbacks are amazing. Number 4 is where Top Thrills Dragster's launch comes in. This is intense, it makes you nervous, and it gets your anxiety through the roof. After it tells you arms down 47 times, it'll launch you 120 miles per hour in only 3.8 seconds. That is one of the fastest accelerations in the world, and it's the third fastest speed you'll find on any coaster ever. It has T-bars, so you feel free. The launch track is very long, you can feel the track shake, but it's not rough, and sometimes water will hit you towards the end of the launch. This thing is insane. It's pretty self-explanatory once you see it. Top 3, here we go. Number 3 is what is considered by many to be the greatest element on Earth. This is the quad down, aka quadruple down, aka just an amazing, steep, airtime-packed element on Lightning Rod at Dollywood. Of course, I don't think it's the best, but I do believe it's one of the best moments on Earth. It's called the quadruple down, but its airtime hills are back to back to back to back to back to back. There's 6 airtime hills, and like I said before, it's like you're going over each hill in half a second. It's insanely fast. You only pick up speed, and it's like Skyrish's airtime moments, but a little less sustained, and there's 6 of them. I mean, you're kind of going sideways on a couple of them too, which adds to it. And speaking of adding to it, the head chopper at the end is like literally the closest head chopper I've ever seen. The wooden structure probably makes it look like that, but man, those hills are just as epic as they look. Number 2 is my favorite drop I've experienced. Take a guess on what it is. It is the one found on Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Let's not fool around. This drop is beyond world class in the back row. You get a mix of pure ejector airtime. It is ejector. Your opinion is wrong if you don't think so. And that's because it's not an opinion, it's a fact. It's a fact. You get pure ejector on the drop, an insane gut punching feeling in your stomach. The only better gut punch that I've experienced is probably X Scream at Waldemere. This is insane. This has always been my favorite moment on the ride. It seems like everybody says, oh, this isn't the best part of the ride, and it's still elite. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, of course it's elite. This is easily the best part of the ride, and definitely better than the drop off the mid-course brake run. That's not even a question. God, this element is so underrated, and it might end up being top 5 in the world if I rode every coaster. It might still be top 3. Who knows? This thing is insane. And number 1 is just as much of an underrated coaster element. This is the 2 twists and shouts on Lightning Rod at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, United States of America, North America, Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, the universe. The coordinates of this element are 35 degrees, 47 minutes, 36 seconds north, and 83 degrees, 32 minutes, 16 seconds west. But geez, these things are absolutely insane. They're incredible. I do prefer the second one, but I join them together because they are very similar elements. This is high-speed, sustained, ejector, sideways airtime. It's quite literally Steve's Outer Bank on crack. The scenery is awesome. I recommend not paying attention to the track and look at the scenery while going through the twists and shouts. That'll make them even better than they already are. Again, if we're talking one true element that I would rather experience, again, more than any other I would choose the double twist and shout, more specifically the second twist and shout. These are incredible. So that'll do it for the video. Please let me know down below what your favorite elements are and what you think of this list. There are some incredible elements on here, and I hope all of you will be able to experience each and every one of these for yourselves. So that's all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.